reacts. If you're a guy, you've probably heard this saying at least once. Your looks will only help you get your foot in the door, but it's the personality that's going to help you enter it and reach your desired destination. It's been suggested that the first 5 seconds of any interaction with a girl are pure black pills, or just looks. If you were able to get through those vital first few seconds, the red pill will become dominant for the following 5 days, allowing you to make use of your game, make your moves, arrange dates, and get to other things. The blue pill is anything that comes after that, which is the time when truly romantic gestures such as flowers and morning messages can begin. Because the blue pill only grants you the next 5 years, I actually have one more level to add to this. If you're through with the blue pill, the following 50 years will be spent as a mgtow after everything falls apart. And that depends on how you view mgtow. If you're truly an independent soul, you will love it. Otherwise, your need for female validation will drown you in sorrow. Within this community, it is generally accepted that this theory is true. I'm going to offer and explain a completely different point of view in this video though. Even later in the relationship, I'm going to put a lot more emphasis on how important appearance is. I'll give you 3 examples to back up my argument. It seems obvious to me that appearances will always be important. The black pill is constantly active, and in my opinion, appearances are frequently the most crucial element, not only within the initial 5 seconds, but also throughout the entire relationship. Let's begin. The first example. I'll start with something that happened in one of my own relationships with a girl and is a little more private. My biggest fear, if not my greatest fear, was always that she would be contacted or hit on while we were out together. I've personally been in 2 relationships in my life. And believe me, this is not the result of my own insecurities or a desire to be overly protective. Let's dissect the scenario for just this one particular reason. If my partner gets approached when we are out, 2 things must have happened. 1. The man who was approaching has already given my girlfriend a glance and deemed her desirable enough to approach. Furthermore, and this is the more worrying aspect, at some point he must have glanced over at me and thought, wow, there's no way the guy is dating that gorgeous girl. He appears to be holding a very feeble hand. I would have a fair chance of convincing her to choose me over him if I approached her. Now, this has only ever occurred to me once, and honestly, it hit me like a ton of bricks because, at the time, my girlfriend had really disclosed my relationship to the man before. Fortunately, nothing unpleasant happened, and my girl decided to ignore him. Anyway, it wasn't because of what I believe the guy who approached me thought of me that this situation continued to worry me. I was more concerned with what I thought my girlfriend would think of me now that the incident had happened. Women can be easily persuaded by attraction. Even though I've only ever experienced this once in 2 years of relationships, just take a moment to consider what would happen if you were a guy and it consistently occurred once a month. It's nearly certain that she would ultimately begin to believe what you just said. She would think, why do I keep getting approached by these guys when my boyfriend is standing right next to me? Do they not think that we're a good match? Or maybe they see that I can do better than him. Every time this occurs during a relationship, it will simply increase the tension and pressure on the man, since both the woman and, unexpectedly, the man himself will feel that the woman is considered as a more valuable choice, and the impact will be worse the more frequently it happens. Any guy in a situation where this occurs on a regular basis, such as once a month or once a week, must have nightmares every night as he wonders what on earth is still keeping her interested in him. So, that's my first example. The second example. I'll now discuss the second example. Intimacy between married couples was recorded by age group in a generic sociological survey. There was a definite pattern that the couple experienced less intimacy the older they were. In fact, by age 50, older couples nearly never engage in intimacy, whereas the newest couples engage in it frequently. Anyway, I bring this up because it seems like a coincidence that the wife is losing interest in her husband at the same time that he is becoming older, gaining weight, turning gray, and losing his hair, leading to less intimacy. Of course, the frequency of intimacy in marriage may decrease for a variety of reasons, including men losing their attractiveness as they age. There is a comprehensive list of all additional elements that could be concurrently causing this. For instance, a man's testosterone levels may decline with age, which affects his desire, or a man may have children now, which consumes a lot of time and infringes on his privacy. According to a study, the proportion of married men who paid for intimacy in the past year is determined by how much closeness they currently experience with their spouse. Men who are least intimate in marriage are almost 3 times more likely to pay another woman for intimacy than those who experience some level of intimacy in bedroom. Only 5% of men who receive it frequently paid for paid intimacy, compared to 80% of men who receive next to nothing in their relationships. This demonstrates that many guys who are now in dead bedrooms still yearn for regular intimacy, but regrettably don't find that yearning fulfilled. Because the majority of guys in this situation feel stuck, they feel obligated to pay for it instead, which is why I find this situation to be so depressing. Men would rather pay for pleasure than be with women. There is nothing they can say or do that won't have an impact on their marriage and cause issues in some way. Unless the man can afford a new place to live, the alimony payments, and all the lawyers on top of that, leaving isn't really an option. Therefore, realistically, the man's 2 choices are to either put up with his frustrations while they continue to grow, or take a chance by paying for them secretly while avoiding detection, which clearly has a potential outcome if he is discovered. It'll all disintegrate as a result of that. The third example. Finally, we'll go on to example 3, showing how your appearance will continue to be crucial for your relationships on day 1 as well as for day 1000. Women frequently post online lamenting the fact that their current boyfriend's weight gain is the only factor contributing to the breakdown of their relationship. Physical attraction is everything for women. The only distinction between a friend and a boyfriend is physical attraction, and this statement is no different from what I've been saying all along. And when a woman says it herself, you know it's true. I'll get back to my point now. For 2 reasons, this takes place more often than you might imagine. On the physical front, many relationship activities, such as getting takeout, watching TV shows and movies, and drinking alcohol, have a detrimental effect on your health. Second, psychologically, both the guy and the woman start to feel content in their relationships and decide it's time to unwind. They reason that since they are already committed to someone, there is no reason to concentrate on making themselves more attractive. Additionally, although both the guy and the woman in the relationship may be impacted by these things, in my opinion, the man will probably be more affected. According to my observations, a man's attractiveness is much more susceptible to changes in body fat than a woman's. Now, some of you might be thinking that a man's weight gain is his own fault. To maintain his girlfriend, he ought to be in charge of this situation. Contrarily, this issue about waning appearances isn't merely restricted to weight gain in this case. I came across almost comparable articles where women were once more losing interest in their boyfriends. The man losing his hair was the sole reason for this time, which is the only change. Keep in mind that unlike weight gain, hair loss is largely out of a man's control. This captures the essence of what I'm attempting to say. Whether you like it or not, a man's physical appeal will always be an important consideration in a relationship. Now, one thing I want you to realize is that I'm not showing you any of this to enrage or disturb you. This is what I'm showing you because it's the reality. And for those who are currently pondering, only the most useless and superficial women will regard male pattern baldness to be an issue. I want you to answer these 2 questions for yourself, and for those of you who are considering this. 1. If you had a significant change in your appearance, would your current girlfriend or the female you're seeing currently have even begun dating you? And 2. How can you tell if you will or won't experience a big transformation in the future? I can tell you right now that your girl will almost certainly leave you. Now, I'm not saying that every girl will act in this manner, but it's crucial to realize that a certain proportion of girls will. You shouldn't get mad or scared. The best course of action, in my opinion, is to acknowledge that certain guys will have to deal with this as a fact. Don't go into dating with unrealistic expectations. If you think all women are made of sugar, you're mistaken. However, avoid becoming resentful and bitter while living a miserable existence and believing that everyone is against you. The best course of action is to objectively assess your circumstances and embrace and reconcile any necessary painful truths. Then choose the best course of action based on the available evidence. If you liked the video and learned something useful that's going to help you become a better version of yourself, hit the like button and the bell icon for more content from Man Reacts.